Well, I know that somebody in the room wanted to put an article in to return the money, surplus funds at the end of the year, and I agree with that. As far as what we've done in the past, I can remember it being done once, and there's a gentleman in the room, Jimmy Lane, who with myself worked hard to one time return $900,000 to the taxpayers. It only amounted to about $20 or $30 a household, but the fact is that we did, in fact, I think it was voted, we went against the finance committee, and I think we were the minority on the board of selectmen at that time. But that's the only time I can remember, but that's what I would like to see done, unless there's an emergency type of need at the end of the year. Like one time we had to buy the fire truck or whatever it was. But normally I would just say give it back to the taxpayers.
Thank you. Laura?
My recollection, in addition to that $900,000 that we did vote to return, there has been a question that has come up at least early in the development of the articles, and every year since then. I think it's because several selectmen, myself including, encourage the town manager to continue to do this. He has tried to make this a regular item when there is money left over. I would like to see, since we have put so much into our stabilization fund, it's pretty stable right now, and that they've recommended 7.5% of our annual budget. So I would like to see more money returned to our taxpayers, either in the form of sending the free cash back to them and applying it to the next year, or possibly looking at coming up with an underride and permanently applying it to the tax levy.
And you used the term underride, and I do have a question here. We have a high school coming along that's talking about an override. In other words, overriding the Prop 2.5 limits to our taxpayers. So Laura, would you support an underride proposition?
An underride or an override?
Underride.
I would definitely.
To reduce taxes.
Definitely support an underride proposition. I think that the only, without putting something like that in place, it would be very difficult to encourage the town to really look at their current spending and to come up with new ways to sustain services. I think that by putting an underride in, it would put the pressure on, and we would really have to relook at the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. And George, would you support an underride proposition?
Unifying. What do you mean by underride, please?
Good response. An underride is a levy limit underride decreases the amount of property taxes that revenue that a community may raise in a year specified in the underride question and in future years. It decreases the community's levy limit and becomes part of the tax base calculating future years' levies. The result is a permanent decrease in taxing authority. So it's a permanent cut. Right now, the town manager would recommend full 2.5% levy typically in a year, and the voters could have an underride and say, hey, we want to take out a certain number of dollars or percent. That's what an underride is. Would you be able to support an underride?
I think any time you could save the taxpayers money, you'd want to be in favor of that. Although I think it's a lot easier to say that than it is to do it. I mean, I think right now, in the last 6 or 7 years, we haven't got any additional money from the state. Our expenses go up tremendously with, automatically our health care, our OPEB money. we have our unions, which we may be facing, some bad decisions with the unions in the next few months, because we've been in litigation with them, and if we come back, we may have to come back for more money. I think it's great to say we could cut taxes, we can do this, we can do that. The only other thing you have to do, if you want to cut taxes, you have to cut services. Right now, we're undermanned in the fire department. We're probably 4 or 5 firemen short of having a full complement. As far as the police department is concerned, we may be a couple short. But, I mean, I think it's great to say I was sitting here and cut taxes, do an underride, so to speak, but I think it would be very difficult to do in this economy.
Okay, I'm a little unclear on the answer. You would support an underride?
If it's at all possible, but I think it'd be very difficult, with, making the numbers work. It would be a lot tougher than saying, we'll do it.
And Laura, you would support an underride?
Obviously, I would, the numbers would need to make sense, but yes, I would definitely work hard to try to see that the numbers made sense.
Okay.